12 people are dead as a result of a terrorist attack in France at the satirical magazine Charlie Hebdo. Now, this magazine is, of course, famous specifically for mocking religion. They've mocked all religion, but they got the most publicity when they mocked Islam, because when they mocked Islam, there was this gigantic backlash all over the place in Europe and all over the place throughout the Muslim world. So 3 terrorists essentially walked into the building and asked for the specific people who were known to mock Islam in their cartoons. And then apparently they spoke perfect French, according to people who were at the scene. And then they started gunning people down. Now, as they did that, they screamed, Allahu Akbar. They said, quote, "We have avenged the Prophet." And the attackers, at least at the time of me coming on air right now, they're still at large. There are also unconfirmed reports that one of the weapons they did the attack with was a rocket launcher. And they use that along with, of course, machine guns. Now, in response to these attacks, a Danish newspaper, also known to mock religion, upped their security. One of the very scary and sad aspects of this story is that Charlie Hebdo had increased security at their building from the time of the original Muhammad cartoon until recently. In fact, I forget which press outlet mentioned it, but they said until like a few weeks ago, they had incredible security there, and then they finally got rid of it, and the second they got rid of it, this happened. Other press outlets in France have also upped their security, and it should also be noted that there are many Muslim leaders who have come out and denounced the attacks already. I'll give you some details on that. The Grand Mosque of Paris, one of the largest in France, issued a statement on its website saying, quote, "We strongly condemn these kinds of acts, and we expect the authorities to take the most appropriate measures. Our community is stunned by what just happened. It's a whole section of our democracy that is seriously affected. This is a deafening declaration of war. Times have changed, and we are now entering a new era of confrontation." The Union of Islamic Organizations of France also responded on its website, writing, quote, "We condemn in the strongest terms this criminal attack and these horrible murders. We express deepest condolences to the families and all the employees of Charlie Weekly." Imam of the Drancy Mosque in a Paris suburb said, quote, "These are criminals, barbarians. They have sold their soul to hell." Also on social media, there's an endless list of Muslims saying, hashtag not in my name. That's the hashtag they're using, and then they're, expressing how much they hate these attacks and how it's terrible. But now, let's go ahead and get to the meat of the issue. Let's go ahead and get to what everybody's waiting for. Fundamentalist religion is one of the biggest problems that we face in the world. And we need to acknowledge that, and we need to fight that. Now, when I say fight, I don't mean fight in the silly way conservatives mean, where root out all the fundamentalists and kill them all, man. I don't even know if that's possible. But we need to fight them on the battlefield of ideas. Now, maybe one of the saddest parts of this entire story, and nobody's talking about it, is the response in many circles to what happened. So Time magazine in 2011, they, for example, said Charlie Hebdo is not, they are not free speech martyrs. The Financial Times said Charlie Hebdo is, quote, stupid for provoking Muslims. I've now had conversations and debates with people on Twitter where they'll give you this idea of, sure, these guys shouldn't have done the attacks, but the cartoons also shouldn't have been drawn. No. This is not one of those issues where there are two sides. You can't pull out the both sides do it card in this conversation. Because either you believe in freedom of speech or you do not. If you don't believe in freedom of speech for ideas and beliefs that you despise, you don't believe in it at all. Voltaire said that. This is civil liberties 101 is understanding that. I mean, we live in a country in America where the Supreme Court ruled that the KKK was constitutionally allowed. It's their right to march through a predominantly Jewish town as long as they remain peaceful. So they can say whatever hateful, bigoted, intolerant, crazy, racist shit they want to say. As long as they're peaceful, they're allowed to march through the town, and they're allowed to have their voices heard. If we can stand up and defend the KKK for a speech that very few people agree with, we absolutely should defend the mocking of religion, which, by the way, isn't wrong. People are acting like they have this feeling of, well, it was not accurate and not correct for them to do a satirical cartoon. Wrong. Satire is satire. What they're doing is they're taking beliefs that are ripe for mocking and mocking them. They are bringing ridicule into the conversation and the discussion on an issue that is ridiculous. And what I mean by that is if you take any of these holy books seriously, the Quran, the Bible, the Bhagavad Gita, any of them, I don't give a fuck. If you take the mythology of the Roman gods or the Greek gods literally, you're an idiot. Your beliefs do not coincide with modernity. Your beliefs do not coincide with science. You are running into a brick wall of reality, and you are choosing to try to push further and harder through that wall, as if you'll come out on the other side unscathed and with your belief system intact and your body intact. It's not going to happen. The idea that there's not a conflict between religious dogmatism and science, or religious dogmatism and modernity, is PC bullshit. It's simply not true. And if these fundamentalists really believe what they're saying, why do you have to exact revenge on these people? If God really is angry at them, and if God wants to send them to hell when they die, well, let God take care of it. By you killing them, aren't you undermining God? Aren't you saying, I don't know if God can handle this on his own, so let me get involved and do it myself? And at some level, you have to know, man. You guys have heard my theory on this before. I brought it up time and time again. My theory of, deep down, everybody's an agnostic. Because to know something, what does it mean to know something? It means you know it. It means it's a fact. It means you fully grasp it and it's true. So you can't fully know and fully grasp and think that it's true to be a member of a particular religion and to believe in their ideology and all the things that go hand in hand with that, because the things are not true. So you can't have a full grasp of it and have, no doubt whatsoever. It's impossible to have no doubt about something that is incorrect. By its nature, if something is incorrect, on some level you have to not be sure if it's correct or not because it's not correct. So it's one of these problems where you need to pick a side. It's not, there is no middle ground. There is no, well, don't offend them, but yes, it was wrong for them to kill you. No. Without satire and without mocking, there is no Young Turks. There is no Bill Maher. There is no Jon Stewart. There is no Stephen Colbert. There is no SecularTalk. Not that you can really compare me to those guys because they're funny and they have a lot more viewers. But even for the right-wingers, right? I hate Rush Limbaugh. I hate Sean Hannity. But I'm not going to fucking kill them or kill their producers or censor them because I disagree with them. And let's face it, their shows are built on mocking as well. They mock liberals who they think are stupid. I, of course, disagree with them, and I think they're stupid. But great, let's hash that out. The answer to bad speech is more speech, not censoring the speech that you think is bad. So if you're so convinced as a Muslim fundamentalist that these guys are wrong for doing their cartoon of the Prophet Muhammad, then you do your own cartoon in your own magazine mocking them. For you to pick up a gun and start killing people, you're admitting defeat on the battlefield of ideas. Because the only time people resort to violence is when they don't have a rational, witty, logical comeback for you. And they know that what they believe is unreasonable, so you have to resort to clubbing somebody over the head as opposed to trying to convince them, because they know there's nowhere left to go. How are they going to convince you of something so absurd? How are they going to convince you that a 1,000-year-old holy book, which makes absolutely no sense and is bathed in blood, how are they going to convince you that this is actually the right way to go? There is a clash of civilizations going on, and I'm calling on not only atheists and agnostics, but also deists and also moderate religious people. All of us need to stand up and say, look, certain things are not debatable. Certain things are off the table. In a free society, that means freedom of speech, freedom of expression, and all these things. They are off the table. If you disagree with them, that's too fucking bad. Take a hike. The Associated Press also said, we're going to pull down our Muhammad cartoons. Other outlets said they're going to censor their Muhammad cartoons. The exact wrong response. What you're doing is you're letting them know your violence worked. Your terrorism worked. Your goal was reached. You now silenced a free society. So are we really free anymore?